Winter in the Highlands can be beautiful and brutal. Snow turned to ice overnight, meaning everything took a bit longer today. Packing up, getting sorted for the journey, and a curious collie discovering that eating ice is apparently a new hobby. I was heading from Stonehaven to Grantown-on-Spey, creeping over the hills and hoping that the roads would stay open. It wasn't the best route. House hunting in November definitely isn't for the faint-hearted. And the stock seems to have dried up, I guess in the build-up to Christmas. But I know so many of you are rooting for me, and thank you for that. So I just keep inching forward, snow or no snow. Today's viewing is about 15 minutes from Huntly. It's a rural cottage tucked into the landscape, not isolated, but definitely peaceful. As I drove in, the railway carriage caught my eye straight away. It's quirky, unexpected, and part of the story of this place. Inside, the cottage surprised me. There was no floor plan with the marketing material, so I was left wondering how the rooms pieced together. The downstairs bedrooms were brighter than I expected. And the storage was actually really generous, going much deeper than it first looked. Some insulation work had already been done, and the seller who showed me around was very helpful and showed me pictures.
So the place that you were hoping to go to then, is that gone, or might that still...
So this is reassuring. Old cottages often hide their good bits, and this one had a few pleasant surprises. It had obviously been looked after quite well by the sellers. Heading upstairs, the stairs were wide enough to bring furniture up, which is something I always check. The main living space runs across the upper floor, an open plan lounge and a kitchen with views across the fields. It's a slightly unusual layout, but it does make the most of the light and those views. Off the lounge, there's a utility room, the water filtration system, and a small WC, and what could be a tiny office or a spare room. The owner has clearly put a lot of effort into insulating the roof and lining things properly, and it did feel extremely warm. SEPA registered and whatnot. Brilliant. So you've got paperwork. The sellers, rather than... Outside, the front terrace is gravelled and open. Part of me could imagine veg beds or planters here, though it would change the view a bit. Beyond is the former cattery area, now mostly cleared. A good hardstanding, and instantly my mind jumped to the possibility of a proper workshop. The sellers had done a huge amount of work here, taking down old beech trees, clearing concrete, and bringing more light back into the garden and making the house safe. You can tell they've put a lot of themselves into the place. We looked at the water pump and the stonework around it, a mix of old character and more recent fixes.
Oh, I see. It's a shame because you've got the dry stone wall and then you've got this, whatever this is. But it's great.
If you want it, you could knock that down.
I walked the boundary line, trying to get a feel for the shape of the plot. It's not huge, but it's bigger than I thought, and it is private, and the views roll away beautifully. Behind the house, there's a little drainage channel where water naturally runs. It's something I'd keep an eye on if I lived here, but seemed manageable.
Did you do this?
We also found an old buttery press and a brick path. Tiny touches of history that I always enjoy finding in these older properties. There's a shed to the side of the house, just outside the boundary, which the seller uses, but doesn't own. Something to note. It's also pretty much on its last legs.
It's a good idea. Beautiful. I think we timed that.
The owner had put in a side drain, or rather he'd connected the drainage to the side of the house, so that would help run water away from the building. It was breezy at the viewing, properly breezy, but weirdly mild after the snow. I think it was 14 degrees in some areas. So I asked about the wind. Apparently it changes, and it isn't always like this, but it definitely is an exposed site, so I don't know how easy it would be to grow vegetables. But someone mentioned a system called stumpery, where you actually grow vegetables in the stump of a tree. And it works beautifully because it's a natural habitat. I digress. The front terrace has weed-suppressing membrane under the gravel. Handy if you're not wanting high-maintenance beds. The gas tank sits neatly at the side, and there's a good amount of space around the house for practical things like storing wood or tools. We talked about the surrounding land, mostly sheep grazing, left fairly natural. Then the old bridge on the approach. Drivable, but definitely take it slowly in poor weather. It's also used by the local farmer, so it's fairly well maintained. The railway carriage was fascinating inside. It looked like it was on its last legs, or should I say wheels, from the outside.
You don't need to take it with
But
you?
inside, rustic, full of character, and used as a workshop of sorts.
And did you make the
But
workbench?
this area of land is not included in the deeds. It sits on an area owned by an investment company. So although you can use it, you don't own the land it sits on. That's a big consideration if ever who owns the investment company decides they want their land back. And then you've got a railway carriage to shift. Not to mention the handy parking spot no longer being available. The large area of grass is a great space. It sits in front of the house, but due to the burn, is prone to waterlogging, so sadly it's not usable. There's a well, some swale drainage, and the burn running along the boundary. The sellers had cut trees and put in measures to help with water flow, which is great to see, though it's still a site I'd want to monitor through winter.
I cut the trees at the last one now as well.
Yeah.
After the viewing, I drove back down the track, letting everything settle in my mind before stopping in some woodland nearby.
Just come back from a viewing of a property near Huntley, and it's been on a while.
I've been trying to view chain-free properties, where possible, simply because broken chains can derail everything, and that's what happened here with these sellers. But this one was available to view, and the estate agent persuaded me, so I thought I'd give it a chance. The couple who showed me around were absolutely lovely, and with any footage I include here, I'll be discreet and respectful. The Croft,
Rural, but not isolated. Decent roads to get there. Quite steep, up a bank. And I'll share with you everything that I saw. I was due to see another property,
but that one was way over budget and had some complications, including historic Japanese knotweed. Mortgage lenders can be unpredictable about that, and it's always something to factor in when you're thinking about future resale.
I don't know anybody else's experience of Japanese knotweed, but it has been managed. It doesn't have a workshop. It has an old railway carriage, and the guy is quite handy. He put in a wood burner stove. From the outside, doesn't look much, but inside, very cosy. But it's not actually on the land that's in the deeds for this property. Apparently it's owned by some investment company. So, as always, there are some complications. Right, I better not lose my way.
It has charm, character, and quirks, like most of the places I seem to view. It's also not a renovation, but I think there's lots that can be done here. The cottage does need work. It doesn't have a workshop, though it has space and the hardstanding for one. The railway carriage is brilliant, but not legally part of the property, or should I say the land it sits on isn't. And like every house I've seen on this journey, it comes with questions to weigh up. I'm going to head back to the caravan now, warm up, and run my usual numbers. Another day, another property, and slowly, one step at a time, one caravan site at a time. I hope I'm getting closer. Thanks for watching and keeping me company on this journey. If you'd like to follow along as I keep searching for the right place to put down roots, feel free to subscribe or say hello in the comments. See you in the next episode.